I'm Megan, and welcome back to another short and sweet in September video under 30 minutes. And this one is for healing your hips and your knees. We'll start standing and we'll do some strengthening because it's important for those joints to feel the strength of the muscles that support them. Then we'll move down onto the ground and do some somatic movements for mobility and release. And we'll end in a deep release, a restorative posture. So while I'm doing that, I'll lead you through some marma therapy as well. So you'll need a couple of blocks. Put those at the front of your mat. You'll want a bolster if you have it. And if you don't have a bolster, grab some pillows off your bed, a couple of blankets. And you'll also want 2 balls about the size of tennis balls. You can use tennis balls. I happen to have some softer rubber balls. Please remember to subscribe, and thank you to my patrons. Let's start standing. Take a moment just to acknowledge your knees as joints, part of your body that joins your lower leg and your upper leg. And feel your kneecaps and start to draw your kneecaps up your thighs. Imagine you can slide them up and just notice how your muscles engage in your thighs. And then feel your knees from the back of the knee. And what happens if you gently press the back of the knee towards the space behind you and then let your kneecaps fall forward? So move from the back of the knee, just acknowledging that space. And then come into your hips. Just feel your hips. You can touch your hips all the way around. Juicy, lovely center of the universe here. And we'll do a gentle movement for both the knees and hips. Step onto your left foot, come onto the ball of the foot, and just make some circles on the ball of the foot. And feel the circular motion in both your hip and your knee. Lightly pressing into the ground, you can switch the direction. Enjoying the beautiful view outside today. Summer has finally come to Ireland. And then relax that foot down for a moment. And we're going to go forward and back. So take your left leg and extend it behind you and push into the ball. So we're going into hip extension and knee extension. And then step it back. And now we'll go into flexion. So this is going to bring a little balance in. Let your weight go into your right leg and bring your left leg up 90 degrees. And then drop it back down. So we're going to simply do that. And you can do it to your breath if you want. Inhale, step back. Get a little bit of that extension. Exhale, feel yourself on both legs. Inhale, weight into the right foot. Lift the left leg up and go as high as you can. Feel the strength of the hip flexors. You can even draw your foot towards your shin and then set it down. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale, step back, push into the ball of the foot, press the heel down. Feel your hamstrings and your glutes engage. Exhale, release. And then inhale, weight into the right foot. You can always use a wall if you're out of balance. Lift up as high as you can with that left leg. And exhale, release. One more. Step behind you, push. Let it relax. Draw the leg up and in. Feel the flexion in the knee and the hip. Little balance there. And relax. Switch your weight into your left foot, come onto the ball of the right foot, and begin to make those circles, sensing your knee circling and your hip. And you might even be able to distinguish the difference between what does it feel like to move from the knee, initiate the movement from your kneecap or the back of the knee. What does it feel like to move from your hip? And you can switch the direction of the circles. It's nice, juicy joint motion. Because the perfect relationship in these joints is one that balances the stability and mobility. That was the mobility. And then we'll come on to that right foot. When you're ready, if you're timing your breath, step behind you, press into the ball of the foot, push down into heel. The more you press down, you'll feel your muscles in the back of your thigh and your buttocks engage. The front line of the leg stretch. As you breathe out, release that. Let your weight shift into your left foot. Little balance here. Squeeze your right leg up as high as you can. And notice I'm not using my hands. I want to use my muscles to come into flexion of the hip and the knee. Exhale. Release it down. You can even take it back and take a few breaths if you want. Go slower. Once you find your balance, press back as you breathe in. Release. Come onto both feet. Lift up. Squeeze in as high as you can, like you've got some Velcro between your ribs and the front of the thigh. Release it down. Step behind you. Feel that nice stretch in the front of the right thigh. Release it. Bring it up. Squeeze it up. I'm even pulling the top of the foot towards my shin. Last round. Take the right foot behind you. Step back. Push into the heel. Feel the shortening through the back of the leg and the lengthening through the front. Release that. And then weight comes into the left leg. Left leg holds you because that's strong. And pull that right leg in. And release that down. So we're going to do a very similar movement, but it will make it a little bit spicier for the muscles. And you're going to grab your blocks. Set your blocks up at the top of the mat. Bend your knees so you can get your hands onto the blocks. So a little bit of squatting here, and walk your feet back so that when you're coming into this position, you want your spine long and your shoulders are over your wrists, and your wrists are right on the blocks, so you can push into the blocks a little bit. So I'm not way back here with my blocks. I want my spine to be long and extended, so my head is falling right between the blocks and my tail is back behind me. Take the weight into your right leg, and just as we did standing, take a breath out now and squeeze the thigh towards your body and sort of round your tailbone down, round your back. So squeeze that left thigh in. That's your flexion of your knee and your hip. Now, as you breathe in, extend out behind you. Press through the left heel. You might point the toe or push through the heel. That's up to you. So extension on the inhalation. You may be starting with a little bend in your right knee if you're tighter through the back of the thigh. As you exhale, flexion, knee and hip. Draw it in. Inhale, extension. And exhale, flexion. So the other thing you can add, we're moving mainly the left leg, but add your right leg as you extend. Try to work the back of the right knee towards the back of the mat. So straighten your right leg a little bit. Lift that right kneecap up. As you breathe out, let the right knee bend. Let the right kneecap fall. So feel the compression in the back of the right knee. As you breathe in, left and right knee extend. So does the hip on the left leg. As you exhale, squeeze in. And notice the muscles in both the right and the left leg supporting you, as well as the hands. Squeeze in and extend out. Going nice and slow. Take the last one into that squeeze. You can bend your right knee a little bit and try to make yourself into a little ball hold for just a few breaths. So we're holding in that position of flexion of the left leg, slight bend in the right knee. And then on next inhale, let's hold on the other end. Extend that leg out, reach through, crown of the head forward. Watch you're not lifting your left hip, so point all 5 toes. You can even look back. Is your big toe and your little toe pointing down towards the ground? If you can see it back there. And release that. We're going to step the left foot down. We're going to come into a warrior 2 foot stance. So we want our feet maybe a little bit wider apart, like about as wide as the hips. Turn your shoulders towards the front of the mat. And start with your right leg straight. Take your arms, and as you breathe in, open your chest up, take your arms out to your side. So this is a nice opportunity to find a little back bend, expand through your chest. And as you're doing that, push into the right heel and the little toe side of the left foot. So you're going to, in this position, engage that left leg. And also imagine drawing the left thigh bone forward. So this is really juiced up. It's strong. Now I'm going to keep that back leg strong. As I exhale, I'm going to bend into the front leg, stopping when the knee's over the ankle. If you want a little bit more sensation, take your hands together and lean over the leg because your weight of your torso will come into that right knee. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Check to see you're not collapsing through that back leg. Open your chest. Exhale, hands come together, bend the front knee, and slowly lean forward. So inhaling up, establish that back leg strong. That's your support as you exhale and bend into your right knee. So what we'll sometimes see as you bend into the right knee, that back leg will collapse. Keep that one strong. Roll the inner thigh forward, inner hip. Push into that pinky toe side. Exhale into the front knee. We're going to do one more inhaling up. Raise your heart up. Create space through the chest. Push into that front leg line. And then as you exhale, bend. Take your hands together. And we're going to hold this one for a few breaths. So your hands can be here. If it's really dicey right now, you can take your hands to your thigh instead and reach out through the crown of the head. If you want more of a challenge, reach your hands forward. Your call. Watch that we're not collapsing the back leg. So hugging your left thigh bone forward. Pushing into that pinky toe side. The other thing we think is lift the arch of the left foot just a little bit. Push into your right heel. Lift your thigh bone. Create some muscular engagement around your right leg. Lovely knees and lovely hips. One more breath. Inhale, straighten the leg. Release your hands. Exhale, step to the front of the mat. And just pause for a moment. And be on your left leg and your right leg and notice. Then we'll be switching and doing the other side. So hands will come onto the blocks. You want a long spine. Walk your feet back a little bit. Reaching through the crown of the head, you can start with your knees bent. And this time the weight will go into the left foot. Push into so instead of holding the blocks, I'm going to push into them so I feel like my core and my arms are slightly engaged. And then squeezing the right leg in. So full flexion. Remember that Velcro between your ribs and the top of the thigh. Squeeze it in. You might keep the left knee slightly bent. As you breathe in, extend out. Lift the thigh. Breathe out. Squeeze in. And you'll notice I'm going to go right into that left knee. The back of the left knee will expand as I breathe in and reach through the right leg. And then bending the left knee as I squeeze the right leg in. Just bending the left knee enough where I'm still keeping my heel on the ground. Reaching out with the right leg. You can lift it as high as you want. Feel the front of the thigh stretch. And then squeeze in. Feel the front of the thigh engage. Slowly going from one point to the next. Exhaling, squeezing in. Some mornings I challenge myself and I'll do like 30 or 50 of these. Really good for my knee and my hip health. But see what you got. Take one more into extension. Squeeze the leg in and we'll hold for just a few breaths. So reach the crown of the head forward. Watch that all your weight's not going in the front of the left foot. Press into the heel a little bit. Or think of taking your hip creases towards the back of the mat. Then your left leg's going to work harder. Squeeze that right thigh in. And then we'll go into what looks like a Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Inhale, reach that right leg back. Lift, feel the hamstrings and the glutes engage in the back line of the right leg. Take a few breaths there. Feel the strength that's supporting your knees and your hips, both legs. And then we'll set that right foot down. If it doesn't land where you want it, make any adjustments so that your feet are more like skis than a snowboard, so a little bit wider apart. Usually feels better for the hips. Bring the right hip around and the right shoulder towards the front of the mat. Then we want to ground through the pinky toe side of the right foot. So think of lifting the arch a little bit. Take your arms up like goalposts. You can take your thumbs back. Let your heart open. Feel that stretch across the chest. And then push into the heel of the left foot. Draw the kneecap up so you feel that strength between the knee and the hip. Start from there. Back leg's already strong as well. And then as you breathe out, bend into the front knee. Keep the strength. Arms can come together. You can stop here or just doing that little bit of dip forward from the waist. Taking it deeper into hip flexion. A little more weight, a little more work. Inhale, straighten the front leg by pushing into the ground. Reconnect with that back leg. That's your support. Exhale, bend into the front knee. Watch that we're not collapsing the back leg as we come forward. Always an opportunity to reconnect with that back leg, the pinky toe side. Draw your right hip crease forward a little bit. And keep that as you exhale into the left knee. Bending. And if you find that you're way behind your knee when you're bending, shorten your stance. If your knee's going way in front of your heel, then lengthen your stance. So you want to try to land with your knee right over your ankle. That's usually the best, the most supportive place. So we'll take one more and we'll do that hold. So you can either come forward And if it's feeling really spicy, take your hands to your thigh for a little bit of support. But instead of falling into the thigh, lift the thigh up into your hands. That can help to engage that front leg. If you want more, you can reach your arms forward. So imagine drawing your left hip crease to the back of the mat, your right hip crease towards the front. Press into the pinky toe side of the right leg. So really strengthening into this bent knee position of the left leg, but it's our right leg that's the main source of support right now. One more round of breath. Breathe in and come up. That's it for our standing strengthening part. We're going to go down onto the ground. As we go down, we'll start with laying on our left side. So this is where you may want a pillow or a blanket or something underneath your head. I've got my whole stack out here today. So you can put that underneath your left ear, your cheek. I oftentimes just use my arm as well. And let your left leg be wherever it wants so it's comfortable and you don't feel like you're going to roll one way or the other. And feel your right leg, and this is just going to be a movement of extension and flexion, similar to what we did when we were standing. As you breathe in, slide your right arm away from you and towards the back left corner of your mat, and then reach your right leg to the front right corner. So feel that stretch through the front of the right leg and the engagement in the back. As you breathe out, bring the leg into flexion, and you can squeeze your elbow towards your thigh. So same movement really that we did standing. Inhale, reaching, extending. Exhale, squeezing and flexing. Sometimes we refer to this as big and little. Extend and watch that you're not bending your knee. Reach, think of taking the back of the kneecap away from you in the back of the thigh. Exhale. Now bend the knee. Compress the back of the knee. Open the back of the knee. Open the front of the hip as you go back behind you. Close the front of the hip. Compress the back of the knee as the leg comes forward. So sense it from the movement of the joint. And we'll take one more round moving, and we're going to stop on this last extension. I might need a pair of sunglasses. But feel where you want to just stop and reach. Reach through the leg. It can come down to the ground. So if you're hanging it up there, let it fall. Get nice and long. Breathe into your right rib. And release that. Let the leg come in. While we're on our side, we're going to do one more that's a little bit more towards strengthening, but it's a release strengthening. Or what I'd say as opposed to we use to release by strengthening. So you're going to lift that right leg up so that the foot's at about the height of the hip. And then just pulsate the leg and see if you can start to feel your outer hip, maybe even your outer knee, but your outer right hip. Just pulsating it a little bit. So from here we can play. If you turn your toes in, that's internal rotation of the thigh. That might feel a little bit different with the pulsation. You'll notice I'm not going way up, just little pulsations. You can also take the leg and externally rotate it, turn the toes up towards the sky. And I'm sort of pushing through my heel here, drawing the top of the foot towards me to keep the whole leg engaged. You can go both ways. And then the other thing is I do the same thing. You might want to take it down, let it rest for a second. Take the knee into flexion. So bend the knee like you're going to kick yourself in your butt. And do that same little pulsation. Just see what it feels like for the thigh. You could take the thigh behind you so the hip is more open and pulsating. You could start to move it towards the front of you. Just feel whatever you can feel in your hip. Lower side of the body is relaxed and supported. Just letting it bounce a little bit. And let it come down, let it relax. You might want to do some hip circles. Imagine you're stirring your right hip and take it around. Let go with the breath. Thank you to your left side for supporting you. For the sunshine today that's in my eyeballs, we're going to switch sides. So you're going to come onto your right side. Find yourself on your right side, supported by the ground, and let the right leg bend. And we'll go into the extension first. So extend through your left leg. Think of taking the back of the kneecap behind you as well as the thigh. Reach as far as you can. And you can also add your arm reaching overhead. Stretch that whole left side. I like to do that on the inhalation and then squeeze. So flex the hip and the knee. Squeeze in as tight as you can. Inhale, extend to make yourself big. As far as you can to your end point. Exhale, squeeze. Small. And just feel when the muscles in the back of the thigh are engaged, when your leg's extended and the front of the thigh is stretching all the way from the knee through the hip. As you exhale, feel the compression of the knee and the hip and the stretch through the back of the leg. Extending and flexing. Let's take the last one into extension, and if you prefer the movement, keep doing that. Otherwise, we'll stop in the extension for a moment, where I can use my arm as a pair of sunglasses. You can let your foot come down to the ground. Feel the length through your whole left side body. Might even direct your breath into your left lung. Create more space. Exhale, let it go. We're going to take the left leg up and lift the heel to about the height of the hip. This is where we just pulsate. Little bumps, like you're bumping your leg. And you can start with the toes pointing straight forward. But as in life, our leg position's always changing. So you can turn the toes in a little bit. You could also turn the toes, so internal or external rotation. And typically I keep the heel straight off the hip, but you could also go behind you. There's nothing where you're stuck in one pattern. You could bring the leg forward and feel your hip muscles. It's a nice one just to feel the outer hip muscles engage. Do a few more, resting the right side, trying to isolate the movement and the muscles and the left hip and knee. And let it come down and relax. Sometimes it gets a little crampy there. And then we'll do one more. And if you'd like, this time bend the knee as tight as you can. So squeeze the heel in towards your buttocks and just pulsate again. You can go behind you, feeling that openness of the front of the thigh. You could turn the heel up a little bit and do the same thing. So the heel goes up towards the sky, your hips in internal rotation. You could come forward. You could also play with external rotation and the knee bend. So your hip is reading all of those differently, different muscle combinations. Just be playful. Enjoy the support of the muscles in your hip and your knee. And let that one come down. Create a little sauce through your knee. Make some circles through your hip. You can let your knees slide together, your top hip go around. And relax. We have reached the conclusion where we're going to come into our restorative posture. We're going to finish with a restful restorative posture, and from a seated position I'm going to help you to find just where you need to be. So if you don't have a bolster, take a couple pillows. We're just going to raise the feet up so you can use pillows instead of a bolster. I'm showing it with a bolster. We're going to end up taking the feet into what's called Baddha Konasana, the soles of the feet together and the knees apart. I'd also ask you to keep some extra pillows or blankets on either side of your knees. But before we go into it, take those balls and put them in the backs of your knees. So what we're going to do is create, first of all, a nice stretch, some openness in your knee joints and in the kneecap side. But by putting the balls back there, we won't have to fully compress the backs of the knees, that popliteal fossa area, which is really important. Our sciatic nerve goes through there, among others. So take the soles of the feet together, get the balls in there, and then scoot your pelvis as close to the bolster as you can as possible. We can come down. I've got a blanket here. If you'd like to have a blanket for your head, please feel free to do that. But rather than just letting the outer knees hang in the air, take those extra blankets and support the knees so that wherever they're falling, they don't continue to fall. They feel like they have something underneath them. And then you might even try to scoot your buttocks a little bit closer to the heels to get more compression. Sometimes I have to readjust those balls in my knees too once I get there. I've been doing this one a lot lately as part of my knee healing journey. So get those balls right in the right place and settle in. We're going to do a little bit of a meditation using the marma points, which are the points in our body that have to do with our psychosocial, spiritual health and wellness. They're typically physical points, and we always have marma points in our joints. So starting from your knees, you can visualize your kneecaps. And the knees are Janu Marma. So feel those kneecaps, and can you sense the way you're creating spaciousness or decompressing the kneecaps with the balls behind you? And you're relaxing, but you can feel your feet touch. You can bring the heels closer to your buttocks if you want more compression, but feel those kneecaps opening up. Take 5 breaths and still and quiet with all your awareness in your kneecaps. And feel the backs of the knees where the balls are. And even though we may have the knees in a position of flexion, you can sense all of those ligaments and tendons, the joint itself in the back, all of the connective tissue. That's the back of Janu Marma. And just keep your awareness in the back of your knee joint, right and left, just noticing what you feel. Are you able to completely let the floor, the bolsters support the weight of the knees? And if not, make any adjustments. And we'll leave the knee itself, the joint, come just about a half a hand above your kneecap. And you might even touch that with your hands just to be aware of it. Use your hands as feelers for the nervous system. This is Ani Marma. And Ani is a very important point for healing knees when we have knee pain. Just bringing your awareness into the point. It's both in the front and the back of the thigh. Just about a half a hand or a finger's distance above the kneecap. Send some light and love into this space in the bottom of your thigh. Notice if there's any response from your body. Does the touch of your feet soften? Do your legs get heavier or lighter? And when your awareness drifts off, come right back to Ani Marma just above the kneecap, back and front. And say thank you to your healthy, happy knees for all the ways they bend in order to take you where you want to go. Then we'll bring our awareness up into the thighs, particularly the inner thighs. So our thighs are positioned in a way that we have full access to Lohitaksha Marma point, which is right in the inner groin. You can feel where there's the bone and on either sides of the pelvis. And you'll feel that big tendon that comes down the front of your leg, right around there. Sense that area, Lohitaksha, anywhere in the inner groin if you'd like. And can you just allow gravity to create spaciousness in this inner groin area? Noticing left and right. Breathing in, feeling that gentle pull, the stretching, the tension. Breathing out, just allowing the outer knees and hips and thighs to drop open towards the earth. And take 5 to 8 more rounds of breath, full awareness in Lohitaksha Marma. right in the inner thigh. And settle in back to this idea of the relationship of each joint, that beautiful marriage of stability and mobility, but also the relationship between the knee and the hip, allowing them to talk to one another, right side, left side, see what they have to say. If you want to do a self massage, sometimes it feels nice to just gently press your hands into your thighs, outer thighs, inner thighs, just acknowledging the thighs as the holders of space and stability between the knees and the hips, the hamstrings in the back, the quadriceps in the front, all the strength they provide. Whatever you're feeling in these joints, 3 more breaths of gratitude for the way that the hips hold your spine, support your upper body as the center of your universe, and the thighs, the way they attach your upper body to your legs, to your pelvis, and all the way to the knees. When you're ready to exit this posture, press your feet together just a little bit to create some sensation so the inner thighs will strengthen and begin to slowly lift up like a counter pose. We want to just slightly engage those inner thighs, pushing together. And once you're up, you can slide your heels out and just let those balls fall out of the back of the knees. And we take a nice stretch through the legs. You can reach your arms overhead, a full body stretch. Feel free to stay here longer if you have the time. We're doing some shorter videos this month, and I know some of you prefer the longer ones. So I encourage you, I will often do this restorative posture for 20 minutes or longer. You can stay there, and we'll meet up next Saturday. So thank you for joining me for this healing of your hips and your knees. Leave me comments. Let me know what you think of the shorter practices. And there's some discussion too about the subtitles. Let me know what you think. Peace, joy, love, and light.